Welcome to the Anatomy of a King, where we break down the man you are, the man you were, and the man you're becoming. Today's lesson is simple, but it's one of the most powerful disciplines a man could ever master. Celebrating your wins, even the small ones. Because somewhere along the way, too many men were taught to ignore the progress. Too many men were raised in silence. Too many men grew up believing that nothing they did was ever enough. But a king knows better. A king understands that confidence isn't born, it's built. And it's built through memory, through acknowledgement, through honoring the moments where you showed up, even when nobody else saw it. Today, we're going to talk about the psychology of celebration, the childhood roots that shape your confidence, the quiet wins that rebuilt your identity, and the discipline of recognizing your own greatness. Not out of ego, but out of truth. This is the episode that teaches you how to feed your spirit, strengthen your identity, and build the internal proof that you are becoming the man you were always meant to be. Let's unpack that. The forgotten power of celebration. Every man carries a memory bank. Some of us grew up with deposits, applause, birthdays, I'm proud of you. Some of us grew up with overdrafts, silence, pressure, and expectations with no reward. And here's the truth. The men who were celebrated learned to believe in themselves. The men who weren't learned to survive themselves. But survival is not the same as sovereignty. A king must understand this. Celebration is not childish. Celebration is identity architecture. It's how you teach your brain. I am capable. I am growing. I am becoming. And the tragedy is that most men never learn this language. So you have two boys. The child who was celebrated versus the child who wasn't. One boy gets a birthday party every year. Not because the cake matters, but because he matters. He gets applause for effort. He gets recognition for progress. He gets the message. Your existence is worthy of joy. Now picture the other boy with no birthdays, no applause, no acknowledgement, just you're supposed to do that. Don't get a big head or do better. See, that boy grows up with a different internal script. My effort is invisible. My progress is expected. My wins don't count. And that script becomes his adulthood. He becomes the man who works hard but feels empty. The man who achieves but feels nothing. The man who succeeds but still feels like he's failing. Because nobody ever taught him how to receive his own progress. Here's the science. Every time you celebrate a win, even a tiny one, your brain releases dopamine. Dopamine is not the pleasure chemical. It's the motivational chemical. It tells your brain, do it again. So when you celebrate small wins, you reinforce discipline, you strengthen identity, you build momentum, you create internal proof. This is why children who are celebrated grow into confident adults. They have a memory bank full of evidence. But here's the part that men forget. You can build that memory bank now. You can reparent your confidence. You can celebrate yourself into greatness. You know, a lot of women say that they're not doing no ego stroking. Or they always refer to the male ego as somehow being fragile or weak. They do it so much, society does it so much that men actually fear the word ego. But ego is not the enemy. A fragile ego is the enemy. A starving ego is the enemy. A neglected ego is the enemy. A healthy ego, that's fuel. A king doesn't wait for applause. He gives himself the acknowledgement he was never given. Not arrogance, not bragging, not performance, just truth. I did that. I am proud of that. I am growing. This is not ego inflation. This is ego nutrition. And see, there's a discipline of recognition. Because celebrations are not random. It's discipline. A king must practice recognition. He must practice noticing the win. He must practice reflection, understanding the win. He must practice reinforcement, rewarding the win. This is how you build the identity, because identity is not built in big moments. Identity is built by repeated evidence. You don't become disciplined by running the marathon. You become disciplined by tying your shoes every morning. You don't become confident by winning the championship. You become confident by showing up to practice. Small wins are not small at all. They are the atoms of greatness. On your way to kingship, you learn to adopt different rituals. And there's few rituals that every king must adopt. You must record your wins, replay your wins, and respect your wins. Every night, ask yourself, what did I do today that I am proud of? What did I do today that I would have avoided last year? What did I do today that proves I am growing? Write it down. Say it loud. Store it in your memory bank. Because the man who remembers his victories never doubts his capability. There is another part that we overlook when you celebrate your wins. The inner child healing through celebration. When you celebrate your wins today, you're healing the boy who never got celebrated yesterday. Every time you say, good job, I'm proud of you, you did that, you're speaking to him. You're giving him what he never received. You're repairing the fracture. You're restoring the foundation. And that's not soft. That's sovereignty. A king who heals the inner child becomes unstoppable. Look, on this journey, celebrate progress, not perfection. Perfection is a trap. Progress is the throne. A king doesn't wait until he's finished to celebrate. He celebrates the climb. Because the climb is where the character is built. The climb is where the discipline is forged. The climb is where the identity is shaped. Celebrate the reps you didn't want to do. The water you drank instead of soda. The text you didn't send. The boundaries you held. The temptation you resisted. The words you kept to yourself. These are not small. These are moments that make a man. A king is a man that honors himself. He doesn't wait for the world to validate him. He validates himself. He doesn't wait for applause. He claps for himself. He doesn't wait for recognition. He recognizes himself because he knows a man who honors his progress becomes a man who cannot be stopped. Your memory is your power. Your wins are your evidence. Your confidence is your crown. And every time you celebrate your growth, you rise. And remember, what you don't change, you choose. And this change can't afford excuses. I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.